Imagine walking through a quiet park. A crow lands on a tree above you. You keep walking, but the crow doesn't. It watches your face. It studies your movements. And somehow, it remembers you. Weeks later, you return to the same place. The crow sees you again. And suddenly, it starts calling. Other crows appear. They all begin watching you. This isn't a scene from a science fiction movie. It's one of the reasons scientists consider crows among the most intelligent birds on Earth. Because behind those dark eyes is a brain capable of solving problems, remembering individuals, using tools, learning from experience, and even adapting its behavior. So the real question isn't, are crows intelligent? The question is, just how intelligent are they? For centuries, humans have associated crows with mystery and intelligence. But modern science has revealed something even more fascinating. Crows belong to the corvid family, which includes ravens, rooks, and jays. And these birds have developed remarkable cognitive abilities. They don't simply react to the world around them. They can learn from it. They can remember. They can experiment. And sometimes, they can appear to plan ahead. A crow doesn't have the brain of a human. It doesn't need one. Instead, its relatively small brain is packed with neural machinery capable of producing surprisingly complex behavior. And once you start looking closely, the ordinary crow becomes anything but ordinary. Chapter 1. The bird that remembers faces. One of the most fascinating abilities of crows is their memory. Researchers have discovered that crows can recognize individual human faces. And even more surprisingly, they can remember whether a particular person represented danger. Imagine that. You might forget seeing a crow on your street yesterday. The crow may not forget seeing you. In famous experiments, researchers captured wild crows while wearing particular masks. Later, when those masks appeared again, the crows reacted aggressively. They called. They gathered other crows. And they continued responding to the threatening mask long after the original experience. This suggests that crows aren't simply remembering a location. They're connecting a visual identity with an experience. In other words, the crow isn't just remembering what happened. It's remembering who was involved. And that changes how we should think about these birds. Because memory is one of the foundations of intelligence. Chapter 2. Crows can solve problems. Now let's talk about something even more impressive. Problem solving. Give a crow a difficult problem, and it may not simply give up. It may experiment. It may try one method, fail, try another, and eventually discover a solution. In laboratory experiments, crows have successfully solved multi-step problems involving objects, containers, and food. They can figure out how one object can help them obtain another object, which can then help them reach the reward. Think about what that requires. The bird must understand relationships between objects. It must remember previous actions, and it must change its behavior when something doesn't work. That's not simple reflex behavior. That's flexible problem solving. And perhaps the most fascinating part is this. The crow doesn't need someone to show it every step. Sometimes, it has to figure the puzzle out for itself. Chapter 3. The crow that uses tools. Tool use is another reason crows have gained a reputation for intelligence. Some crow species have been observed using sticks and other objects to reach food that would otherwise be inaccessible. The famous New Caledonian crow takes this even further. These birds can manipulate objects with remarkable precision. They can use plant material to extract insects from difficult places. And researchers have observed behaviors suggesting that these birds understand how different tools can be used for different problems. Think about how strange that is. A bird sees food. The food is out of reach. Instead of simply flying away, it finds an object, changes its position, uses it as a tool, and gets the food. That's a completely different level of interaction with the environment. The crow isn't just surviving in its surroundings. It's using its surroundings to solve problems. Chapter 4. Crows learn from each other. But individual intelligence isn't the whole story. Crows can also learn socially. A young crow doesn't enter the world knowing everything. It watches. It listens. It follows older birds. And through experience, it learns what is safe, what is dangerous, where food can be found, and how to interact with its environment. This is important because intelligence isn't only about solving a puzzle alone. It's also about learning from others. Humans built civilization partly because knowledge can be passed from one generation to another. And in the crow world, Something similar happens on a much smaller scale. A young crow can observe the behavior of experienced birds and learn from what it sees. The forest becomes a classroom. The city becomes a laboratory. And every day brings another lesson. Chapter 5 that the city is their intelligence test. Now look at the modern city. Cars, buildings, traffic, millions of humans, noise everywhere. For many wild animals, cities are dangerous. But crows have learned to exploit them. They search garbage for food. They recognize human activity. They learn which locations are safe. They adapt their routines. They take advantage of opportunities created by human behavior. And this may be one of the greatest signs of intelligence. Adaptability. The world changes. The crow changes with it. A crow doesn't need the city to be perfect. It simply needs to understand how the city works. And once it does, the urban environment becomes another ecosystem it can exploit. Chapter 6. Are crows as smart as monkeys? This raises an incredible question. How does a bird with a tiny brain perform behaviors that seem surprisingly similar to those of much larger-brained animals? The answer is complicated. Intelligence isn't determined simply by brain size. The organization of the brain matters. Crows have highly developed regions associated with complex cognition. Their brains have evolved to handle the challenges of their environment. And evolution doesn't care whether intelligence comes in the body of a primate or the body of a bird. If intelligence helps an animal survive and reproduce, evolution can favor it. That's why the crow is such a fascinating example. It reminds us that intelligence isn't owned by humans. It has evolved in different forms, in different animals, for different reasons. The big twist. And perhaps that's what makes crows so fascinating. They don't need to look intelligent. They don't have human faces. They don't speak our language. They don't build computers. But intelligence isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden in behavior. A crow remembering a face. A crow solving a puzzle. A crow using a tool. A young bird learning from an older one. A flock adapting to a changing city. Each behavior tells us something. The crow isn't simply reacting to the world. It's learning how the world works. And that's a very different thing. So, are crows the smartest birds in the world? It's difficult to name one absolute winner. Different birds excel at different forms of intelligence. But crows and other corvids are unquestionably among the most remarkable problem solvers in the bird world. They remember. They adapt. They learn. They communicate. They use tools. And they can solve problems that seem far beyond what we might expect from a bird. The next time you see a crow sitting silently on a rooftop, don't just see a black bird. Look again, because that bird may be watching you, learning from you, and remembering you. And maybe you're not the only one studying the other. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden intelligence of crows, subscribe to the channel, because we're going deeper into the mysterious world of animal intelligence, where birds remember faces, solve impossible-looking problems, and sometimes behave in ways that force us to rethink what intelligence really means. Subscribe now, and in the next video, we'll uncover another incredible secret hiding inside the mind of a bird.